besides growing a following on social media during this period, this is when I decided to brand myself as the people's designer. And the reason that I chose to brand myself in this way is because I felt that all the work that I was making was in response to people and to the benefit of people, really. I was bringing people like joy and excitement through the work I was making, and I was always engaging in the comments with people. And anytime I like posted, like specifically for like the NFL series, like anytime I posted like an illustration, it was always in response to someone's comment. So I felt like I was really involving the community that was supporting me as I was growing. And so that's why I felt like, the people's designer felt appropriate. And then I guess some more like background on why I chose the people's designer is my initial like thought process was thinking about like the people's champ, which is someone that's kind of like, everyone supports, everyone's kind of like fond of, they're very like down to earth. And, in general, people want to see them win because of the fact that they are, the way that they posture themselves towards people is very welcoming and all that. And so I felt that very much reflected me as someone that's like always been down to earth. I'm very approachable. Like, I and in general, like this is something I feel like I never really quite understood, which I guess maybe it's just God's favor. It's just, I just felt like people would just like gravitate towards me, and I'd always wonder like, why? Like, what am I doing like that would allow people to want to, be cool with me or support me or anything like that? Like, especially in like going into my junior year, I would say like, yeah, that sophomore spring when I was like really starting to be on the ascent on like TikTok, and then going into the fall of junior year, when I think back to it, I'm like, my heart is just like so like full, because I really couldn't understand like the amount of love and support that I was receiving from people, especially like on campus, man. Like people would always be talking about like, oh, yo, I saw like your new like artwork. No, it looks great. People would just be constantly like reposting my stuff without me even saying anything. Like it was something else for me, at least. Like I didn't think, I was like, what did I do? Like literally, like I just said, like what did I do to deserve all this love and support from people? Like people were telling me that they're at their family dinner telling their parents about how, oh yeah, they got a homie that makes artwork that the NFL, like NFL teams are like reposting and stuff like that. Like for me to be like the mentioned in someone's like family dinner discussion, I'm like, wow, that's really special. Which brings me to lesson 9, which is show support and find a support system. So if you're on the giving end, showing support to those around you that are doing, even if they're not doing amazing things yet, if you see the potential for them to do amazing things, make sure you're encouraging them, keeping them going. Because a lot of what kept me going was I had people in my corner that was just constantly encouraging me, saying like, yo, like you're gonna be big, bro, like all this stuff. It might seem like it's just words, but that stuff really does help keep you motivated, especially when it's like the best intentions and interests are at heart from the people that are giving that message. And then finding a support system, if you're the person that is having the potential to really do something in whatever field you're in, just finding a couple of people that you can always kind of like bounce ideas off of, that will be there to help guide, support you. Because one thing that I'll never forget, this quote is, mankind is no island. It's not a solo act. And going back to, choosing to brand myself at all, as the people's designer, I think that really gave me direction and purpose for my design career. And then that brings me to lesson 10, which is to establish goals and then make decisions that align with helping you reach that goal. Like, okay, if I'm gonna call myself the people's designer, I have to identify what it actually means to be a designer for the people, or for the people, as I like to say, and then pursue that. So I kind of gave myself like a framework for what I want to operate in. Like if my final goal is to live out my identity, which is to be the people's designer for the people, like does my design practice actually reflect that? And it's okay if where you're currently at doesn't reflect your goal, but then it gives you, like I said, it gives you direction. So I'm like, okay, what do I have to do to then head towards the direction of being the people's designer, or really fulfilling that identity and role. And so one of the things that I at least started, which I haven't quite gotten to yet, is my For the People initiative, which I'm not going to dive too much into in this video because it really deserves its own separate video. But yeah, I just want to give you guys a general sense of the where and why of the People's Designer and For the People, and where that initial idea came from. And to kind of close off this chapter of my little social media run in 2020, 2021, I want to kind of recap some of my other highlights after the whole Ja Morant illustration that went viral. And that would include several players reposting and commenting. Yeah, it was really cool for me to see my work being displayed on the highest level, these teams and with these athletes that I've always kind of admired. And soon enough, I believe I will be partnering directly with some of them. And although I'm never going to actualize my dream of being in the NFL through being a player, I can certainly do it through utilizing my creative abilities, and I definitely see that as a success. And actually, one of my biggest successes that came out of growing my audience on social media was when I got to design a billboard for UPenn. And so basically the way that it happened was a marketing company who had seen my work on TikTok reached out to me, and they wanted to partner with me, or basically contract me to work on an illustration for Penn Medicine as part of an initiative that Penn was doing to basically work with local artists in the Philadelphia area to create artwork that basically said thank you to all the healthcare workers that were putting their lives on the line every day to continue to help and serve and protect us throughout that period where the pandemic was still lingering on. And so the idea that I had was to take an iconic sports play, the Philly special during the Super Bowl. So I took that as like the inspiration for the design, and then from there I illustrated a version of that featuring healthcare workers playing a game of flag football, featuring like a crowd of a diverse cast of community members, basically cheering them on and saying like, way to go, like, thank you. And so, the marketing company really, loved the work that I came out with, and so did UPenn as well. And then I even ended up making like a, kind of like a promotional TikTok video about it, explaining, what I was thinking with the design and my design process and everything. And it was shared on UPenn socials and all that. And in addition to, my work being shared digitally, it was super cool to also see that the work was displayed physically. It was, for one, it was displayed in the UPenn Smillo Research Center. And then my artwork was also displayed on a physical billboard at the UPenn train station in Philly. So I got to go with my family to see it in person, which was pretty cool, because like obviously you got trains coming in and out, and all kinds of people are getting to see my artwork, which was something I really appreciated. And so yeah, that was definitely my biggest freelance project at that time, and that all came as a result of me putting myself out there on TikTok and getting that exposure to where I had that marketing company reach out to me to be a part of this project. So I mean, that kind of just shows the tangible results of getting that exposure and not just kind of getting it for the sake of clout or whatever. And so that was spring 2022. And then I would say my next biggest project was finishing my personal website in the fall of 2022. And so that was first semester senior year and everything. And I had been wanting to finish my website for like I think I initially started it probably sophomore year, and then I never finished it. But I was like, if I don't finish designing this website like this semester, it's not gonna get designed. in like a proper in like a timely manner. And then obviously, you know, senior year and everything, and thinking about like job applications and all that, I wanted to make sure that I already had my website and everything set, you know, for that season. And so yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into designing the website, making sure that, you know, it was aesthetically pleasing, also matched my vibe, and, you know, really showcased my broad range of work. I also ended up creating some merch as part of my website launch, and so I'm rocking the Psosi hoodie right now. And a big thank you to anyone that actually has purchased Psosi merch, you know, since I launched the site. Because I mean, like I said before, I always think like, who am I that, you know, people would want to actually buy my merch and, you know, wear it out and show support. Like speechless. It really warms my heart, you know, to receive that support. And then I'd like to give a shout out as well to my boy Aaron Siriamonthep. He is the photographer that did my People's Designer photo shoot. And if you follow me on any socials, I'm sure you've seen this photo before. This photo was actually Aaron's idea, and I think it perfectly captures, or is a perfect representation of, what it means to be the people's designer. As you can see, while I'm taking this punch from my friend Keshin, so a big shout out to Keshin as well for being part of this idea. But yeah, as you can see, as I'm taking this punch, I'm unfazed. I'm standing 10 toes down, standing on business. And so I feel like that goes to represent how, as the people's designer, I'm willing to, you know, stand in there for people. Honestly, it's just a really cool picture in general. It's my LinkedIn profile picture, and I have it pinned on my Instagram profile. So I really big fan of this picture. And I think one thing that I kind of got from the photo shoot as well is that maybe I can model a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you guys will see some more Psosi shoots where I'm in front of the camera in the future. But yeah, before going into talking about my senior year, I cannot do that without mentioning my junior year design cohort. And by that I mean like the people that were in my, you know, design class junior year. And I would say junior spring specifically. Like junior fall was good too, but junior spring honestly was something else. Like the environment and energy that we created as a class from like day in and day out was completely unmatched, and it really set the tone for us going into senior year. But yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure exactly what it was that like clicked for us, but maybe it was because it was like really the first year that we had as a design cohort outside of kind of like the restrictions of the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, we just got like really close as a class, like really almost like a family. Like we all felt super comfortable around each other. Everyone felt free to like really be themselves and, you know, felt seen, I feel like, in the class. And I would say up until that year, and really that semester specifically, I wasn't like super close with people in my design class as much. I feel like, you know, obviously I'd be cool with them in class, but like outside of class, I didn't really like, you know, hang out with them as much. But that semester, like I remember just like, you know, getting, you know, becoming, you know, a lot more friendly with everyone and wanting to spend time with them, you know, even outside of like the studio. But then obviously a big part of the whole experience was that we would always be in the studio together and, you know, grinding stuff out. And I would say me personally, I had a really interesting experience in that class because for whatever reason, I ended up being or like becoming like the class mascot, or I don't know if mascot is the correct word, but or maybe the class representative, I don't know, but like I just found myself being featured in a lot of different ways for the class. Like we had like a class Instagram, and they had like multiple posts of me with these like fake inspirational I mean, the quotes were like real, but they were quotes that I didn't even say, but they would be like, yo, like quote Psosi, like stop doubting yourself was like the major one. And then for like one of the projects that we had that year or that semester, one of the groups decided to put like my face on the wall in vinyl. When they presented it, they had like a whole like black curtain reveal, and like this is what I'm talking about. Like, who am I, bro? Like, you want to talk about like feeling loved, man? Like, obviously, I feel mad love from my parents, my family, friends, but I'm telling you, the love that I felt from my classmates, from campus in general, like I was saying again, man, it's not. I'm, I don't take it for granted because it's not everyone that gets to feel that love and support